I guess first things first, let's clear the weapon. Clear! So, well, a lot of my buddies ask me questions about risers. I used to be kind of anti-riser until as I'm growing older, maturing, and shooting a lot more, I'm realizing that things are meant to be tailored to you, okay? Now, some people don't like risers, some people like risers. Obviously, you can get ridiculous with it, but generally, it's a personal preference, and it's how you shoot, how you train, and it's right tool for the job, okay? When you add a riser on, it's going to change your point of aim and point of impact, depending on what range you are, a lot more than if you had a sight that was as close to in line with the barrel as possible. All right, that's just the nature of the beast. And then everything is going to have positives and negatives to it. It just depends on what you're doing and how you train, and basically what's comfortable for you. So I realized over time that I do like a little bit of a riser. And the reason for that is that when you are constantly, you've got your cheek all the way down here and stuff, you're really in line with it and you're putting strain on your neck, what you can do is over time, so you can have your cheek weld down here and that's going to give you a consistent sight picture. Now most sights are parallax free. This is a fake EOTech and this is just a cheap Amazon riser, okay? Wasn't sure if I like this, like that, and everything, so I just buy things cheap first, try it out, and then I'll spend money on it if I actually like it. Alright, disclaimer out of the way. Consistency is key. Even though most sites are parallax free now, they're not perfect. So having consistent cheek weld and stuff, having your face in the right spot and your eyes, so that way your eye is always in the same spot when you break that shot, that's going to give you more accuracy. But all you have to do is, like, so you're constantly having your cheek weld here, you could easily, after you add a riser, is you just adjust your weapon a little bit. So now I know instead of having my stock here, all I need is my stock right here. And then I touch it right there. That way I know my face is in the same spot every time. So I'm going to be as accurate as I could possibly be, because I'm keeping that consistency. So I'm going to do that, and it's just going to allow me to pick my head up a little bit better, which I feel like is going to give me a little bit better situational awareness. It's going to have less strain on my neck. I'm going to be able to sit up straight a little bit more. And then when you first start out, you should listen to the fundamentals, okay? That's your base, that's your building blocks. But they're not forever mentals, they're fundamentals. So you start at that base and then you can change things slightly, or you'll notice this is working, that's not working, and then you can go back to the fundamentals and then try to build up from there. So I prefer the riser. It lets me sit up a little bit more. The thing with that though is that you have to train a lot more if you have a riser, so that way you know where your holds are for up close, far away. So now we got this guy right here, which is I have 1 to 8, 1 to 6. I can't remember. I fucking painted over it. But anyway, so an optic like this, you probably would much rather not have a riser on because it's more of a scope. This is an LPVO. So yes, it does have one, so I could use it up close and everything like that. But it's more designed to be a little bit further shots. I live more out in the country, so this is a little bit more practical, especially for deer hunting and stuff like that. Most shots I'm not breaking any more than like 350, so this is just fine. But this will allow me to keep my eyesight and my barrel as close to each other as possible, so there's a little bit less of that drift going on. Now this guy right here, this red dot, has got a little bit of... Fuck me. I lost the cap, so I put tape on it to try and keep it as nice as possible. But so this Vortex Strike Fire 2 has got a cantilever mount on it, and it does rise it up a little bit, but it is pretty close to bottom as possible. One of the huge issues, dude, I could just keep going like that, like I'm back in high school. One of the huge issues with like not having a riser and having this thing, with not having a riser and having it as close to in line with your barrel as possible is that if you ever wear a helmet. So helmets back in the day, this is Mitch, ACH, some shit like that anyway. But I grinded this guy out so that I could have my ear pro in there. Now, when I was in the Marines, we actually had the ear protection piece that was here, and then usually we didn't wear ear pro, or we just had these little foam pieces and we put in there, and then you couldn't hear anything that was going on. But a lot of days now, they're switching to styles like this. Don't worry, this is all Amazon cheap shit. This is just a Walker thing. So now that we're getting more ear pro like this, and then I'll throw this on, ride that struggle bus real quick. Fucking me. I learned so much building this house and shit. My brain is too big and the fucking helmet doesn't fit anymore. Most people are rocking some sort of high cut like this, and they've got some big ass ear pro like this. So the issue that you're going to run into is if I didn't have a riser on this, is that when I go to shoulder my weapon and get my cheek weld, you'll notice that my ear pro is now interfacing with this. So what risers will allow you to do is that if you do have big chunky ear pro like this, is that you can keep your head up straight or keep your head that you can keep your head up straight. So if I was trying to go like this, I'd really have to be fighting and pushing to get that cheek weld in there and get a good sight picture. But with the riser, what it allows me to do is keep my head up straighter, keeps my ear pro from interfering so much with this. All right, and it just depends. If you're not going to be shooting, running around with the helmet all the time and stuff, then you don't have to worry about that. But if you are going to be wearing a helmet with big chunky ear pro like this, it is something to consider. I figured I would just throw the different scopes on there and stuff and just show you guys so that you can see what I'm talking about. And the thing is that like when you take a scope off or an optic or a red dot, a sight of some sort, you are going to lose your zero. It's not going to, a lot of the time it's not going to be like astronomically off, all right? So if you have time before your next range or whatever you're doing, you can zero with like 3 to 5 rounds and get it really back on point. So there's nothing to cry about. Now, if you take your scope off and then put it back on, are you going to be having the exact same zero and hit a target out at 300-500 yards? Probably not. I mean, you might hit it, but you're not going to be hitting it where you want, but you're going to have to figure that out. For instance, now that I have this guy on, he is much lower, all right? So when I have to go there, so that way I can see my red dot, this is about where I keep my cheek weld for when I have my riser on, and right now I can't see my dot at all. I have to be way down here to see my dot. Now, for someone who doesn't train a lot and everything, this is really good. This is probably your best option. But for someone who trains a little bit more, you can get away with more. If you train more, you can get away with more. All right? It's the same thing with anyone else. When it comes to sports, anything like that. People who train more can usually get away with a little bit more stuff. And so now I have to be way down here. Now, let's throw the old brain bucket on. So now, I've got my brain bucket on, I got my big chunky ear pro. And so now, when I go to get my sight picture, what happens, my ear pro's interfacing, so right now I cannot see my dot. I have to fight and push against my own weapon system in order to get down and see my dot. Versus, let me take this off and throw the other one back on real quick. Milwaukee. So now that I have my riser on there, I can see it right there. I don't have to sit there, I don't have to fight my weapon system. Alright, boom, right there. All I'm doing is touching my ear pro to it. I can see my dot, can't see it. I've started to see it, now it's in the center. It depends on what you're doing, what you're gonna, I don't know how to say it anymore. It just depends on what you're doing. If you're going to be, you imagine yourself running around with this, or if you're on the range day, you want to do this and have fun, LARPing and everything like that, have at it, put a little riser on there. Now, obviously, you can get a little, fuck out of your hair. Now, you can get ridiculous with it and go super high, but that's why I'm starting to prefer risers, is because I'm starting to train in my kit a little bit more. So what the riser allows me to do is just, one, be more comfortable, two, not have to sit there and fight my own shit to be able to engage. Okay, and then so again, the co-witness, or the witness on this guy is going to be the same as that guy. So you're going to have the same issues with this guy that you're going to have with this. Scopes, though, I have not put any of those on a riser yet. I don't know if I really would, and if I did, it would only be a little bit, just because you want to keep scopes, especially, as close to inline with the barrel as possible. Yeah, guys, I guess that'll do it for this video. It's just a riser debate. One of my friends asked me recently if I like risers or don't like risers, and so I thought I'd make a little video just explaining of where I used to be anti-riser, straight up fundamentals, and then as I trained more and experimented more with different stuff, I decided that I actually do like a little bit of a riser. It would be cool to try a Hydra mount out. Something like that would be pretty sweet and fun to play with. And then also, guys, you can have a rifle that is set up for like, this is my duty weapon, blah blah blah, like that. And if you have a second rifle, if you have money for that, I don't. I only have one rifle, so I play with this one all the time. But if you have another rifle, you can set it up a different way and then try things out on that other rifle, so that way you have one that is always good to go for whatever situation, coyotes, liquor stores, whatever's going on. But then you can have a second one that you can play with and figure out what you actually like or don't like. Or you can be like me and just fuck your own rifle up all the time, and then your zero is always decently close. But hey, if your zero's not dead on, accuracy through volume, alright? But yeah, guys, I think that'll be it. Well, I'm gonna definitely do more videos now that I have don't really have free time, but I need some me time, right? And most of them are gonna be short videos. If you like that, awesome. I will try to make longer form content every now and then, something like this. This one didn't have huge production value or anything like that, but fuck it, we ball. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you. See you on the next one.